decided to do the portrayal of war in literature. And going into it, I expected to find two hard viewpoints, one being a more pro-war kind of standpoint and one being anti-war. But the more I got into this project, I realized that there was only one real viewpoint and that it was anti-war, despite what I believed going into it. And the books that I read were The Quiet American by Graham Greene and Tim O'Brien, The Things That Carry. Now, The Quiet American was the novel I expected to be more anti-war, and Tim O'Brien, coming from a military background, I expected to have more of a pro-war kind of standpoint. But as I went into it, I realized that The Quiet American had more of a anti-war in a political sense. He didn't really focus more on like the emotional aspects of it or the people behind it. And it had to do with a American spy, I guess is the way to put it. He is in Vietnam and he's conducting business. And what he's doing is he's going behind the back of his new friend, a French author, who's living with his wife in Vietnam. And throughout the book, he talks about how this American is ignorant and everything, and how he blew up some civilians or something as part of diplomacy trying to get the United States to declare war. Now, in Tim O'Brien's book, it takes place as Tim O'Brien is in the book, but it's a work of fiction. He tells various stories about experiences in Vietnam, and you really learn to, you make a connection with the characters on more of a personal level, as opposed to Graham Greene's, where it's all about the politics. This is more about the brotherhood that these guys share on the battlefield and their experiences when they come home. And he talks about the death and all of the like PTSD when they come back. And when you look more into it, Tim O'Brien's book I expected to be pro-war. It turns out it was more anti-war. But Graham Greene, when he grew up, he was an English novelist. He was from the United Kingdom. And he had a lot of problems when he grew up. His mom, I think, committed suicide. He also attempted suicide several times. But on recommendation of his sister, he ended up getting into MI6, and he was more of a political guy. He started writing novels after he spent time in Cuba. He met Fidel Castro, and he said he had a close relationship with Castro, actually, even though he planned on sabotaging him, and he did. He provided support to the rebels in Cuba. Now, Tim O'Brien, he was a sergeant in the U.S. Army. He spent a lot of time in Vietnam, so his stories, while they were fiction and the things they carried, he had actual experiences from Vietnam. He studied at Harvard after he transferred from a smaller university, I think. And overall, when I was looking into this project, I highly anticipated there was going to be two hard viewpoints on the subject matter. But as I read, I figured out there was no proper way you could portray war. It was bad in almost every sense of the matter. Thank you.